All right, we good to go? Excellent, let's go. Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm here today with New South Wales Police Superintendent David Cooper, Essential Energy's Mark Summers, Transgrid Sam Pickering. We have a new addition today, which is Joanna Quilty, who's from the New South Wales Reconstruction Authority. And of course, we've got the member for Barwon, Butler. I'd like to start with the state of play. There are no customers without power in the impacted communities of the Far West region. Last night, one of Essential Energy's 4 portable generators tripped. This meant for 90 minutes, power was cut to around 1,800 customers in Menindee, Sunset Strip, Kinnelung, Wilcannia, White Cliffs, Milparinka, Packsaddle, Tibooburra, Mount Gibbs, Stevens Creek and surrounding rural properties. Essential Energy sent alerts to customers as soon as possible. In Broken Hill, power supply remained on for the 4th night in a row thanks to a network of generators. Essential Energy and Transgrid are not planning any outages in the next 48 hours. There's been no need for load shedding in the region now for 4 nights, and again, appreciate all of the efforts people are taking to reduce their usage during that nighttime peak. AGL's battery is now charging each day and discharging to supply customers in the evening peak. The last 2 nights, the battery has been discharging to make sure there's enough supply to meet consumer demand in Broken Hill. Transgrid has now erected the 7 alternative towers to replace all those that were destroyed by the storm. When we say alternative, we need to know that they can be in place for up to 20 years. They're very solid. Transgrid has also restrung the first of the 7 wires on the towers. Transgrid's on track to connect the region to permanent power supply by the 6th of November, but today we are confident that this will be brought forward. We will provide a detailed update once that is finalised for the community. Today, the New South Wales Government has opened a recovery assistance point in Broken Hill, the one-stop shop with Service New South Wales, the New South Wales Reconstruction Authority, Legal Aid, Vinnie's, Red Cross and the Insurance Council. These are being very popular. We know that a lot of people have visited them this morning. There was a line to get in this morning. There's a space next door, so people also are not going to be lining up in the sun, but I think Joanna will update on this, but I think that's settled down now. 1,000 food vouchers and 1,000 fuel vouchers are being distributed. These are available at the Recovery Assistance Point and other outreach points. They will be open in Broken Hill today, tomorrow and Thursday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. We're assessing whether we will need for these points to be open next week. In addition, we have a range of other support. 1,000 food hampers are being distributed. This is being done by the Salvos in Broken Hill and by the Reconstruction Authority, working with local Aboriginal land councils in other of the smaller communities. It's really important, and I need to let people know, the $200 and the $400 support payments for households and businesses are not yet available. Service New South Wales is working very hard to set up the system to allow that support to be available. My best advice is that applications will be open late next week at the earliest. That's why we're doing the vouchers and the food hampers. That's about supporting people through this process, but it's going to be a little bit longer before the $200 and $400 vouchers are available. They are not available at those centres. I wanted people to know that I've also written to all of the energy retailers asking for them to delay issuing bills and for them to consider access charges. We'll have more of an update on that, but I'm pleased to say today that Origin, who's one of the largest retailers, has agreed to defer those bills, and we're working through those issues. The Reconstruction Authority is in Menindee and Wilcannia today, White Cliffs and Tibooburra today and tomorrow. This morning I briefed the teams on what the communities had told Roy and I over the weekend in relation to the challenges that they face. We're trying to actually work on those more. The important thing about the access points today also is that we will gauge the needs, and if there's more support that needs to be provided, we will be able to do that. People would be aware that the Independent Pricing and Regulatory Tribunal and now the Australian Energy Regulator have commenced inquiries into Transgrid's compliance with its regulatory obligations. They've been, I think they're in town today, and again, if people wish to reach out to them, they should go through, the first instance is probably through Roy, and we can make sure that they're connected so that they can tell everyone in relation to this. Finally, look, I just really again want to thank the workers who are lots of people from away, lots of people in town, pulling resources everywhere, working over 24-hour shifts. Not all 24 hours at one go, by the way, but across 24-hour rosters. Really huge effort, really big, thanks also to particularly the essential staff who got the generator at Pinnacle's Place up and running within 90 minutes last night. I think that's really important. A lot of people doing a lot of hours, and we're really very, very grateful for that. But at this point, I'll hand over to Superintendent Cooper.
Thank you, Minister. Under the emergency management arrangements, our business continuity remains in place. And as usual, we stand in support of the Combat Agency, Essential Energy and Transgrid as they return our power to normal. I again thank the communities for their patience. Particularly last night, we had a power outage. We got the communications and that consistent messaging out as quickly as we could last night into social media. And the great community of Broken Hill and surrounds responded accordingly. So thank you, and thanks again, Minister.
Thank you. I think, Mark, you're up.
Thank you. Yeah, firstly, just again, as the Inspector said, is a big thank you to all of our customers and appreciate their patience while we were dealing with the issue with the generators last night at Pinnacle's Place. So it was an unexpected and unplanned power outage that occurred last night. We did have a sensor issue with one of the generator units, and unfortunately that sensor unit actually tripped off all the generation supply at Pinnacle's Place. So the team worked really well last night to attend the site quickly and work through the problem with the generator. We are working again today to actually finalise what we believe is the issue with that generator. We do have a spare generation unit on site, which we will work through today to establish whether or not we take one unit out and put a new unit into place at the Pinnacle's Place site. So the teams are doing a great job on that today. As I've talked to before, it is quite a structure of engineering genius. This is what the team has put together at Pinnacle's Place to supply power to those rural and outlying areas around and surrounding Broken Hill. The other thing I'd just like to touch on today too is some customers are experiencing some changes with their off-peak particularly for their hot water timing and their heating for their hot water. We are shifting some of those times around. That is purely to help us to maintain the level of load during those peak times. So we don't want to load all of the hot water timings up of a night time, because that is our peak load time, that 5 till 10 p.m. time frame. So we want to make sure that we're not putting all that load on the network and tripping the Transgrid generator out of a night time. So we are using that daytime heating time. So some customers will notice of a morning their hot water may not be as hot as what it would normally be. But we are working to continue to provide that service to customers. Again, just a big appreciation for all the team who worked overnight, and our team is out there again today. We've brought some additional staff into the area again to support the local teams today. So we'll be working around to continue our work with the generators, plus also continue working with those life support customers and delivering the small generators to them. So again, appreciate everybody in those rural and outlying areas, and apologies for the outage that we had occur there last night. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Over the last 24 hours, we were able to successfully put in place the final emergency response structure, meaning that all 7 transmission towers have now been erected. This has been an incredible effort, and I want to thank once again our teams who are working in a challenging and complex environment to complete these works as safely and efficiently as possible. As of this morning, I can confirm that we have made significant progress with roughly 35% of the conductor now installed. We expect to have the remaining conductors installed over the course of the next 2 days. Obviously, we are working to expedite the process, but as we undertake this complex environment, we do so with an abundance of caution, and timing remains subject to weather and being able to continue to work safely. Once completed, we will commence testing and commissioning with a view to having main supply to Broken Hill connected as soon as possible. We'll continue to work with Essential Energy as we progress this process, and are mindful of keeping the local community informed throughout. The restoration of primary power to Broken Hill will not require an interruption, However, those communities in far west New South Wales currently supplied by Essential Energy's backup generation may require a short planned interruption to finalise the reconnection, and Essential will liaise directly with those customers to minimise any impacts. Our gas turbine, which remains the primary power source for Broken Hill during this period, continues to operate well and is being supported by the battery energy storage system. Thank you.
Joanna.
Hi everyone. This has been an incredibly challenging time for communities across the far west, and for those who've already been doing it tough, it's been particularly challenging. As the Minister has said, today the New South Wales Reconstruction Authority has opened a recovery assistance point in Glen Street here in Broken Hill to provide face-to-face recovery support for those in need. We're encouraging people to come by, and it's an opportunity to not just connect with the Reconstruction Authority team that's there. We've also got local services, Catholic Care and Vinnie's on hand, Red Cross and other mental health supports are available. And we also have Service New South Wales and their business concierge, representatives from the Insurance Council and also from Legal Aid present. So it's an opportunity to come in and get information and support on any business, insurance or legal issues, to get mental health support and to find out what other supports are available. And those other supports include food hampers. We've partnered with Food Bank to deliver 1,000 food hampers to the region. They arrived on the weekend and they're now being distributed to communities across the region. So in Broken Hill, it's through the Salvation Army that people are able to access a food hamper. In those outlying communities, it is through our outreach locations. So today we are in Wilcannia and we're in Menindee. We've set up in the community halls in those locations. We're there until 3 p.m. and we're able to provide people with access to food hampers. We also have food vouchers, fuel vouchers and vouchers to assist people to replace any medicines that have had to be thrown out, as the Minister has already mentioned. They can be accessed at the Recovery Assistance Point here in Broken Hill or at our outreach centres. We've partnered with Vinnie's to deliver those. We're incredibly grateful to the partnerships we have with Food Bank, with Vinnie's and with other local community services. And we are providing those vouchers to people who are particularly struggling, who are experiencing financial hardship and who need help to replenish their refrigerator supplies, to get access to fuel or to replace medicine. So we're certainly there on the ground and really wanting to connect with people and provide them with the support that we can. This is a really great opportunity for us to assess community impacts, to understand community need. And if at the end of the week we know that there's more need out there, then we'll certainly be looking at what else we need to do next week.
Thanks, Minister, and thanks, everyone. First of all, great news that there's a possibility that the power could be restored before that original date of 6th of November. That obviously is still a work in progress, and as the Minister said, as soon as we've got advice to give, we'll give that advice. Just a couple of things I want to raise. One is, while it's great news that the power looks like it may come on earlier, what I want to make sure is that there is a strong plan for redundancy for the Far West. Because once we go back to a single supply line, that's our lifeline. If we don't have redundancy and something goes wrong, we're back in the same situation. So there needs to be a really good plan for redundancy, and I know my communities will want to be assured of that. The other thing, and the Minister touched on this, I know the Minister has written to the retailers of energy. I don't believe that any customers who have been affected by this outage from the date of the storm until we see mainline restoration should be wearing access or use charges. That's my thought. And I think that there's an opportunity here. I've seen some telcos, mobile phone service providers, who have also acknowledged that people have had an interruption in service and have applied credits or not charged. And the same goes for ISPs. You know, people haven't been able to use these services. It's not their fault. And frankly, this event has cost people enough as it is. Thank you.
Any questions?
Yeah, just a couple from me. Yesterday, you said that you were planning to meet with representatives of the mine. Can I confirm if that has taken place yet?
Yes, I met with the representatives of the mines this morning. Really want to thank them for their incredible efforts in actually helping manage this situation. They've actually, the work that they've been putting in has assisted managing the load and stabilising the grid, so really important. They really emphasised with me two things today. One is that they need certainty about when the mains will come on so that they can stage the return to work for all of their staff. And they obviously raised the concerns that staff are stood down. I also spoke with the union this morning as well, the mining union. So we continue to work through those issues. But look, the mines have been absolutely fantastic. It's been critical what they have done. And, on behalf of the government, I think the rest of the community just really want to acknowledge that. We're working really closely together with my officials. We want to give them the certainty that they need so they can get people back to work and get the mines up and running as quickly as possible. So very productive meeting, and we'll continue to give an update around other supports that we can provide. But look, the main focus here and the good news here is it looks like it's going to be earlier that we bring people on. The sooner we do that, the sooner people are back to work.
Now, touching on something that you spoke about last week, last week the Premier himself said that the initial payouts that have been provided so far, that are going to be provided, that's just the first step. And this week at the upcoming council meeting, the Mayor of Broken Hill is also going to be calling for further financial relief, further compensation. When can locals expect to hear more about this from the government?
Look, we are still working through that, and look, the Premier is right. He's also a man of his word. We are looking at all of these issues, what the support is there. We'll get also more information through the access points today and through this week. People would be aware that Community Cabinet, the whole Cabinet's coming back to the Far West next week. We're working through that. The payments should start to, people will be able to apply for those by the end of next week. Look, there is more to come. I was speaking to the Federal Minister for Disaster Recovery yesterday. Both of us are working closely together on what's there. We haven't landed it yet, but we'll be updating as soon as we've got more information for people.
And just wondering, with so much going on and lots of different messages about different areas, we at the ABC have received a number of concerns from people about the messaging, the communication. Not sure if that's been happening so much on your end, but any sort of messages that you might like to put out to the community surrounding communication and what they should know if they might not know it already.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things. One is, and we really heard this loud and clear when we went around on the weekend, every community needs to hear their name in any of the messaging because they're not sure whether it applies to them. And so, we thank Essential for the work that they've done trying to get that information out to people. So we've been really trying to get that work. Look, my message is really a couple of things. The evening peak is still challenging. If you can reduce your usage even just a bit, that would really help. And look, the other part of it is obviously use of solar. The challenging thing that we have here is with all of the diesel backup, it doesn't like the varying load that solar provides, and it destabilises the grid. If it's safe to do so, no matter where you live, so this is for every town, for every business, if you can, if it's safe to do so, please turn off your solar. That's for the night and the day, as we, all of the work that's being done to stabilise the grid to stop load shedding, that really helps. And Mark can talk to the technical details of all of that. But my main messages are, look, the peak time's still really important. If you can reduce usage, turn off the lights in the rooms that you're not in. Don't turn off the appliances. If you can, make you not use your air conditioning. But if you need to use it, that's fine. But can it be a little bit hotter than it normally would be? Those sort of messages like that. A really small bit makes a really huge difference for everyone, and we should be able to do that. But the final one too is just that the ongoing solar during the day. We're blessed with so much solar, but it's challenging for these backup generators, and for now, we just need to work through that as we restore the main line.
Just a couple of questions for Joanna as well. So just surrounding these aid centres, I know that you said that going into next week, it's still not decided 100%. That still needs to be assessed. Is that correct about whether or not that will be continuing into next week, that support?
Look, we've just opened up the Recovery Assistant Point today, and we've got these outreach locations also happening. This is a really good opportunity for us to understand community impacts, assess community need, and if there is an ongoing need, then we will still be here next week.
And surrounding the difference between these RAP centres and aid and the food hampers themselves, it sounds like they are separate initiatives, or even though they're going towards the betterment of people, we've received concerns that some people might be thinking that they are being obtained from that address on Glen Street. Just wondering if you might be able to clarify to the community out there what exactly the process is of accessing those food hampers.
Certainly. Look, it is all part of the One initiative, and it is part of the recovery support that is being provided to the community by the New South Wales Government. We've partnered with Food Bank, which we're incredibly grateful for, to get those food hampers up here and to distribute them. The distribution point is the Salvation Army. We didn't want to clog up the recovery assistance point by having too many people needing to come there for hampers. So we will need to get that message out that it is the Salvation Army. But the Salvation Army is also working with other local service providers to make sure that those hampers get to the households in need, because some may not be able to come out to collect them. So we want to make sure that we're using those local trusted providers to get to those households where the need is greatest.
And in terms of things that people might need to bring to show eligibility for either the financial assistance or the food hampers, can you clarify exactly what people might need to bring ahead of time so that they're not caught unawares?
Look, we recognise that we need to very much have a streamlined process here, so we're not requiring onerous amounts of documentation. Certainly for the food vouchers, we do need to know that you've got identification that shows you're living in an impacted area. There will be some questions that are asked that demonstrate hardship, but we're not asking for a lot of supporting documentation. And similarly with the food hampers, we're trusting that if people are stepping forward and needing a food hamper, that is because they are in need.
So the food hampers are being given out freely?
They're being delivered to households where there's absolutely a known need, and we're expecting that people that front up are in need, yes.
And then where is it that it's required to provide insurance policy numbers? That's something that was brought up by people who attended those centres earlier today.
So I guess it depends on the nature of the problem that you're going to the recovery assistance point in relation to. If you're there to meet with a representative of the Insurance Council and you have a particular insurance concern, then obviously the more documentation that you can bring, the more support and advice you're going to be able to get.
That's all the questions for you, Joanna. And just a couple for Sam as well, just lastly. Thank you very much. So obviously with the installation of those 7 generators, so confirming the next step at the moment is just installing that cabling. That's correct?
Yes, that's correct. So our team are currently working through that phase of the reconstruction project, which is essentially lifting those conductors into place, those high voltage conductors, after which they'll be secured to the tower. What I would say is that this phase of the reconstruction process is the most complex in terms of working at heights, mobile plant movements and the machinery in use. But our team is making good progress on continuing through that phase.
And I know that it has been said that there's hope that estimated time of restoration will be brought forward. Just hearing from yourself, how confident are you from the Transgrid point of view that will be happening before November 6th?
Yeah, as I said, we are making good progress on the ground through this phase of the reconstruction process. As I mentioned, it is the most challenging aspect, so the team will continue to work through that efficiently but also safely. We're really happy with the progress we're making on the ground, and that's in no small part due to the capability and numbers of the team that we have on the ground, as well as the favourable weather conditions that we've been experiencing. With that continuing, we're hopeful to come inside of that November 6 timeline, and we're working with our partners here on the ground to make sure that when we are confident enough to update that date, that we do so in consultation with all of those.
Okay, thank you.
Very good. Thanks, everyone.